5.9 million people, and he retweeted me. It went mental.
I would have seen it.
It was
I would have seen it.
Yeah, he retweeted because he gets into punting as well. So
yeah, I
Cousin Sal, he knows Cousin Sal, who has a podcast called, I don't know, it's something to do with betting anyway. And I'd replied to Cousin Sal, and because they picked the winner of the US Open on that podcast, paid 45 to 1 or something, and I'd written something, he retweeted and was like insane. My feed just went mental,
Nice.
Yeah.
He's got a great podcast, Bill Burr's podcast. Did you listen to it?
Yeah.
Well, he got me back into watching Formula One.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You know, because he's...
Anyway,
that's another story for another day, but...
Yeah, he's hilarious, like...
Right.
He's ridiculously funny. But...
And what was the last real job? I need to ask you this, because I also, as a mate, I want, like, I look at this, the Titanics. It's my second job. Right. For someone like you who is potentially playing with, like, ridiculous sums of money, it's like, my analogy is I've got some friends who are strippers, chicks that are strippers.
Yeah, I've heard her podcast.
Scarlett Morgan, right?
Yeah.
And Scarlett and lots of other girls in that sort of the nighttime industry, right, can earn ridiculous amounts of money.
Sure.
It's a trap because we're all making normal amounts of money. Surely every now and then it's not bad to have a little second job where you earn bloody... I'm not saying this to you, but let's just say you keep living this the life you're in now,
right?
Playing it with untold crazy money. Surely you'd get it out of touch. You know what I'm saying? You've come from delivering bloody papers.
Well, where I do something silly with it, or
creating a business where you're paying, at least having a legitimate something over there.
Yeah.
Where you know there's still the lifetime system.
So
when your kids grow up,
right,
they still know the lifetime system.
Sure. Yes.
You don't look so stoked.
Yeah, no, I think.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, kinda. Hey, like, to be honest, like, fuck that shit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
as it's coming out of my mouth, I'm going, who gives a shit?
I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, take me back to the rat race. No, like,
you should be digging holes or something, bro.
Seriously, like, fuck, give me a shovel now. Like, I got a bad knee. Sorry, I can't come in today. No, like, look, I fucking love my bunch of my best mates are all tradies, and I totally respect that. I get that. But it's just not for me, you know, like, it's just not for me. And I'm not sure, that's not to say that I won't create something that isn't sort of more mainstreamish, but even I'll still be walking. I can't work for anyone again. I can't do it. I mean, never say never. And you know, look, fuck, that's just a blatant lie, really, because I actually set some odds for a bookmaker at the moment. I do about 5 hours a week right now for a bookmaker, compiling prices for a certain bookmaker. And monitoring bets.
Do you have one of those cool leather bags?
No.
Damn
I used to when I was in the corporate world. I used to have one of them.
No, I mean, I'm talking about
the bookie thing?
No,
it's all electronic now, mate. You know, like, there's none of that.
There's got to be a market in making those old bookie bags.
No one. No.
Yeah, but who doesn't? What professional?
They look sick, but
yeah, of course they do.
But no, So look, never say never. Would I work for someone again? Not in a full-time... I just can't see it myself working in a full-time capacity for someone. I'd work on something with someone, or I would have my own thing. And I read something the other week, and I totally agree that now, sort of, our generation will have 4 or 5 different careers that we'll have in our life. We're living so long now that we'll have 4 or 5, on average, 4 or 5 different careers. I'd agree with that. So I don't know where I will go, but I find it hard to believe that I would step into something that is, I guess, for a better word, that mainstream sort of, you know, rock in at 9, leave at 5, or, you know, whatever those 7 or 8 hours are a day. Hard for me to see myself doing that unless it was for myself, and I have done that for myself. And I think probably having worked in my own business and working 60, 70, 80 hours a week probably has deterred me from that a little bit, going back to that. It's just, God, freedom is just fucking brilliant, you know, like, and I just encourage anyone, you know, if we've just chatted so much shit on this podcast, but if I can just give anyone that's listening one bit of decent advice, is that if you've thought about launching something for yourself, or if you've thought about, you know, just making something happen, the best advice, like, people have come to me with the things that I've done and they've said, oh, I've got this idea, or I want to do this, or I want to, you know, how do I make it happen? How do I just do it? That is actually it. Like, if you've thought of this thing and you think it's sick, or you think that it can work, do it. And that's not to say that there won't be problems when you start doing it. You're going to hit roadblocks. I tell you right now, you'll hit so many little speed bumps, but they're just speed bumps. And after you start, you'll make it happen. If it's really what you want to do and you truthfully believe in it, you will make it happen. And I cannot stress that enough. The first step to doing anything that you want to do, whatever it is, doesn't have to be gambling, it can just be fucking anything, is just do it. Like, actually just do it. Do the first one, take the first steps and do it, and you will make it happen.
And let it suck.
Yeah.
Let people
absolutely.
see that, like this podcast, let it suck, and then people love when you turn it into a thing.
Totally. That. Oh,
yeah.
You know,
I agree with that 100%,
mate,
man.
I had a creative agency that I started with one of my best friends. We started in a shed. We ended up with, you know, $600,000-$700,000 turnover, 6 staff, and, you know, like, we fucking sucked at the start. Like, I mean, his designs were beautiful, but our whole business model, everything just sucked. You know, like, we had no clients, and we're trying to sell to these people. But there was an honesty and a you know, just a believability in what we were just out there, and we were doing it, and we were just saying, hey, like, we do great shit. Like, we haven't got anything to show you right now, but I promise you, you give us this chance and we will make it happen. And, you know, it's like you say, early on it sucked. It wasn't everything that it once that it became in the end, but we just did it. We just, you know, he said to me, oh, I can't sell this product. You know,
what does that mean, creative?
Well, it started, like a lot of things, it actually started out something totally different to what the business actually ended up becoming. The business is still running now here on the Gold Coast. It's a great little business, 40/40 Creative. But it started out, my business partner then was a graphic designer by trade, and he had this brainwave to create this thing called Think Gold Coast, and it was all the best places to eat, shop and drink on the coast, right? And it was a beautifully designed site. His designs were immaculate. And I'd actually known his father, who was a professional poker player as well, and he'd come in, and we knew each other separately. It was crazy, but he came into the poker pit one night, hit up his old man for money, and I was like, oh, Steve, give us some money, you know? And he was like, this is my son, do you know that? And I was like, what the hell? Because Nick's mother's Chinese, right? And Steve is Greek. And Nick he's got Asian. You can see that he's got Asian in him. And I just never picked it because Greek.
I see. Yep.
Steve is totally Greek. But then after, like, he's like, this is my son, did you know? And I was like, holy shit, because his whole mannerisms are totally Greek, right? It was crazy. And I was like, whoa, like, just spun me out. Knew each other individually. Anyway, he pulled me aside and he just said, you know, I've got this product, this Think Gold Coast. I can't sell it. I don't know how to sell it, but I love the design. I'm really, you know, behind it. And so we started out in his shed, and I just used to get on the phones and just bang the phones and just ring Gold Coast companies and say, you need to be involved with this. Go out and do a face-to-face. And that was how it started. He would do all the design work, and I would just bang away. And then we had another staff member, but then what happened was that people were so interested in the design that every time I would go to a meeting, they'd be like, "Who designed this?" And I was like, "Oh, we did." And they're like, "Can you do business cards, or can you do, can you do a website? Can you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Who did it?" And I'm like, "Well, we did." And they're like, "Who's we?" And Nick had this business out of when he'd come out of his design college, called 40/40 Creative. It was just a little sole trader business. So I just used to throw that name out there. I was like, "Oh, it's 40/40 Creative." And they're like, "Yeah, sweet. Can you do us some business cards? Can you do?" And so then, man, honestly, it went from like me just banging heads trying to sell this Think Gold Coast to we were getting inbound calls of people going like, "Hey, our friends, got you,"
which is very Gold Coast. Like, it's a small little town.
Totally, everyone.
So we actually just need the small shit.
Yeah.
I can imagine. We probably don't have the Las Vegas amount of people that makes it happen.
Bang on, totally, and that was absolutely that is bang on, because even eventually the business, fast forward, ran into problems where his design was actually that good, and he was so true to the design, and he is a fucking brilliant designer, but he was so true to sticking to that beautiful design that we wanted to charge what it was actually worth, the time that he would really put into it, and the developer and everything like that. But sadly, there just wasn't the money for that. Like, you go to someone and say, "Well, yeah, it's going to cost you $15,000 for something like that." And they're just like, "Hey, our budget for this website's like $3,000."
Yeah.
So but they want what you show them. They want the concept, but we just can't do that. So it ran into problems. But I sort of went forward a bit. But really, what happened was it just became this thing where I think Gold Coast just went by the wayside, and 40/40 just became this thing where just everybody wanted it, and everybody knew everyone, and it just word of mouth went crazy. And like I say, it went to a 600,000, 700,000 turnover, 6 staff. And that business is still running. Nick bought my equity, and I moved on and went and played poker full time, and that was
nice.
that was it. Yeah. So, but But where we got to from that was we just did it. We just did it. Like he just said, "I can't sell it. I need someone to help me to sell it." And we set up in his, I can see it right now, in his man cave / little shed. And we just banged it out from there, and the amount of people that have asked me about, an app or a business concept, or I want to do this, or what would be your best advice to do it? And that I tell them all is just do it.
Yeah,
just do it. Just start.
And be a tight ass about it, though.
Yeah. When you're starting out financially, or
just do something.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, mate, put it there.
That was great, mate.
It's been 2 hours.
You're joking. Is it really?
That's it. Now, where can we find out more information about you?
Find
tell
me
us
on
your podcast again.
Yeah, well, get me on Twitter. That's but it's really like, I swear a lot on there. I mean, if you hadn't noticed.
Good.
So it was Lukey Mac, but I got kicked off on my first one because I took off sports bet, changing it to Sprog bet. So it's Lukey Mac Returns. But also I've just created, but it hasn't sort of been released, but you guys can get on there. It's at Punt Pod. So PUNTPOD. Yeah, get on there and
subscribe straight away.
Yeah, get involved.
Yeah. Excellent, mate.
Mate, that was great.
Yeah.
It was excellent. Yeah.
Well, you got to come in a couple of months.
Yeah. Well,
hey, let's do this one.
Okay.
For the big McGregor fight, Mayweather fight.
Yes.
Let's I don't know, analyse it after, during, whatever.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure.
We'll get a couple other crew together.
Yeah. Well, we should get Robbie here for that because he's just sick MMA.
Is he? Yeah,
he's
beautiful.
a sicko for it. He loves it. Yeah.
Good stuff. Let's do that. All right. This podcast was brought to you by Koala Karma, the chill out drink. As you sip that Koala Karma, sit back, relax, and put down a couple of bets on some. So let's see, anti-favourites?
Yeah,
underdogs.
Underdogs.
There's a new term for you, mate.
Anti-favourite.
Over and out, champion.
10-4, big buddy.
The Punt Pod.
Get at us.